Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Definitely be here tomorrow for the live stream. We're going to find out tomorrow absolutely what happens to my super chat. I cannot do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to talk about or make a statement or discuss or have a question about the Durham probe special counsel, about politics, what's going on in the world today, the Sussman trial, like I said, of course, Bitcoin going below 10,000, which is what I've been saying, and it's on its way. The stock market crashing, which is what I told everyone in September of 2021. Your support via Super Chat is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated, ladies and gentlemen. So to my Super Chat, thank you. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. If you're worried, or if you're thinking about what takes place tomorrow and how this affects the Durham probe, the special counsel is going to continue no matter what. It's actually going to be bolstered either way. We don't know yet. Obviously, the jury has not decided. There could be a conviction, and a conviction would be warranted. That would be the most obvious. That would be the most logical and rational outcome. And the reason that would be the most rational and logical outcome is because he lied. There's not only information like a text message or evidence showing that he lied, but there's a text message stating that he's coming on behalf of himself, not on behalf of anyone else. That's the first lie. He was being paid and billing the Clinton campaign. So he was billing the Clinton campaign. There is no doubt that he was lying. There is no doubt at all that he was trying to deceive James Baker. Hello, Pete. Hello, everybody. JG, Eric, Bobby, Kristen, everyone here. Thank you so very much for tuning in. There's no doubt that he's lying, or that he lied. The problem, however, is that if there's an acquittal, or if there is a hung jury and a mistrial and then a retrial, the problem is the following. Everyone was lying at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Everyone at the Federal Bureau of Investigation was in on it. And everyone knew that Sussman was working for the Clinton campaign, the Democratic Party. That's the issue. That's the issue. The issue is that everyone knew. Now, it's really interesting. Like, from a legal perspective, there's a fantastic attorney, Robert Gouveia. He does live streams also. Definitely watch him tomorrow. I'm sure everyone here watches him, and I watch him myself also. He'll give the legal perspective, or he has the transcripts, the closing remarks and the witness testimony. He does all of that. It's pretty awesome. From a political perspective, my analysis is the following. The Durham Probe Special Counsel will indict more people. The fact that we're even talking about a possible hung jury or retrial after a mistrial, or a conviction, which should happen. So the fact that we're kind of, preparing ourselves in a way for the possibility of an acquittal or the possibility of a retrial is because Democrats, Madam Secretary Clinton, the Clinton campaign, definitely mashed potato brains Biden, they have every benefit of the doubt, and they have media and the United States government going to bat for them politically. You had partisan actors at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They were so partisan that the jury might not believe that Sussman deceived or duped. They were so partisan that the jury might not believe that that Sussman actually deceived or lied to James Baker. That's the issue, ladies and gentlemen. The issue is that they were all so in on it. They were all so partisan that we don't know. Like, they were so partisan and so in the tank for the Democratic Party that it's difficult to prove that that the attorney paid by Clinton actually deceived a Federal Bureau of Investigation attorney. So James Baker stated he's 100% confident that he was lied to during the meeting. There's a text message showing that Sussman, the attorney paid by Clinton, lied, said he wasn't going on behalf of anybody. There's billing records showing that Clinton campaign was billed, that he was working for the Clinton campaign. There are other Bureau agents saying they would have done things differently had Sussman not lied. Again, they would have done things differently had Sussman not lied. Okay, that's huge. That's important. If they would have done things differently had Sussman not lied, his lie was then, of course, material. Which we know already the lie was material. He lied for a purpose. People don't tell the truth for a purpose because they don't want the repercussions of what the truth would bring. So the issue with this trial is that we don't know what the decision, like, we don't know how corrupt, we don't know the corruption. Wild Cajun, shalom, hello, Wild Cajun, thank you. We don't know if the cards are so stacked against justice at this moment. So, at this moment, we don't know if the jury is convinced that Baker was actually lied to and deceived. The jury has to believe that Baker was deceived, that Baker actually believed what Sussman was telling him. And see, again, it's interesting too. I did this segment earlier on today about Marion Jones. And there's a 30 for 30 documentary on Marion Jones, one of the great female athletes of all time. And there was, and John Singleton directed it, and John Singleton was one of the great directors and producers and writers in Hollywood history. He's awesome. He was awesome. He passed away, but he was one of the greats in Hollywood. And the documentary is about Marion Jones for 1 moment, 1 second, 1 nanosecond, telling a lie to federal agents and having to serve about 6 months in prison. Now, she didn't do what Sussman did. And you talk about privilege and a certain type of privilege, like Democrats embody all of that. That's all you look at Hunter, you look at mashed potato brains himself, but Hunter, his son. You look at, I'm not against the possibility. Why would I be against the possibility? I'm trying to prepare everybody for the possibility that there's an acquittal. I think there's a difference between being against and preparing. So I'm definitely not against. I will be happy with a conviction because a crime was committed. The conviction is logical and rational. A lie was told to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, again, I think, a responsibility to my viewers to kind of, at least at this juncture, learning enough about politics the past 5 years and kind of getting burned sometimes here and there when I'm thinking like, hey, this is logical, rational, and then politics throws me a curveball. Indy, hello. Tammy, hello. Everybody here, hello. I think politics throws, hello Tammy also, politics throws me a curveball. And so Like, I saw the stock market in September of 2021, and I said, look, you know what? The thing's going to tank. I can see Bitcoin now. If it goes back above 30, if it goes to 50, I really don't care because I know eventually it's going to tank. I don't want that to happen, but you look at the macroeconomic environment. It's not like social media algorithms or democratic operatives can change the macroeconomic environment. Okay, it is what it is right now, and it's unfortunately very terrible. And I've been saying that since September. So subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash channel below. But ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow I gotta say, I think that a conviction is more likely because of the overwhelming evidence. But I think it's like 60-40. Here, we'll have 261 viewers. We'll do a poll right now. Will Sussman get convicted or acquitted? Okay, so here. So here. So here you go. So, will Sussman get convicted or acquitted? Durham will get the conviction, acquittal, or retrial. So let's see what everyone thinks here. I would say a conviction is pretty clear cut. Exactly, IH. Exactly, IH. Exactly. I think 35 votes within a couple seconds. Nice. So 69%, 70%, 30%. I think that, wow. So I would agree with you that if a conviction in any other circumstance would be certain, you're paid to lie. Look, how much money? Like, is it worth the money in politics? Like, I'm protected by the First Amendment. That's, well, whatever's left of it. I am partisan. But like Christopher Hitchens said, simply being partisan doesn't mean you could be right and on the side of justice and truth. So I back up everything I say. Okay, my thoughts are not based on condemnation, judgment, groupthink. Okay, I was on the left the left. Now I'm more conservative on things, but I'm not bound to political party. If it's Mitt Romney, I'm not voting for Mitt Romney. I'll vote for Tulsi Gabbard over Mitt Romney, but I'll definitely vote for DeSantis or Trump over Clinton. And I want a Clinton-Trump 2024 because we have to redo 2016. But I'll vote for Trump and DeSantis over mashed potato brains Biden. And I'd vote for Tulsi Gabbard over Mitt Romney. I don't want the Lincoln Project, and I don't want never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That is more important than Trump insulting people. Get that in your brain. Wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats and far left, I used to be a part of that far left. Trump's words are not as important as the Lincoln Project, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans like Liz Cheney embedded within the Democratic Party. Sorry. My God, it's like such an easy, like people say, well, how do you go for Bernie Sanders to Trump? Because Bernie 2016 was against counterinsurgency conflicts. How easy is that to understand? It's so easy to understand. I don't want Americans, and God bless, look, it's Memorial Day. God bless all the veterans. If you're a veteran, if you're active duty, if you're watching this, God bless you. We love you. God bless the Vietnam veterans, Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, Korea, World War II. God bless you all. And your families. I don't want never-ending military conflict. And it's Democrats who will it's Democrats who will at one in one look. It's the Democratic Party and wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats who will say, "Well, we're not that great of a country. We're not that fantastic." Look, it's the it'll be the Democrats who, if you ask, "Well, we're not that great of a country," like Andrew Cuomo, America was never great. They don't even believe anything, the things they say. And then, of course, on days like today, oh, we're amazing. Oh, yeah. They don't even believe it. They just have the Lincoln Project there because they think it benefits them. Well, and they were always hawkish anyway. You had Clinton and Kerry and all of that. You know, amazing Colonel, hello. Captain, hello. So 79 votes. Will Durham get the conviction? Okay, 73-27. I think, look. I'm at the point right now where I've thought this through. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'm a little bit negative, so I'm just preparing myself and preparing my viewers for preparing myself and preparing my viewers for the possibility of an acquittal or a retrial. Primarily because I've been listening to a lot of Andrew McCarthy. And there was a National Review podcast where he was interviewed and he was talking about he expects an acquittal. So, the issue is that media will jump for joy and do what it always does. Okay? Media will jump for joy and do what it always does. What media will do is, if there's an acquittal or a mistrial, okay? If there's an acquittal and a mistrial, what will happen is media will say, "Ha, Durham needs to go. He didn't find anything. He needs to stop this taxpayer dollars. It's a waste of money. And they won't, and they'll harp and they'll jump for joy, and they won't realize that people will ask questions. Well, why? What happened? Why was he acquitted? Why was there a mistrial? What happened? People will ask, why did this decision take place? And then, like media always does, because they're so run by emotion. They're run so much by emotion that people don't realize that the more you jump for joy, the more you say, oh, he's acquitted. Oh, we don't need the Durham probe. Haha. That's all you got. The more people will start asking questions, and then Democrats will have to then answer those questions like, well, why did it happen? Why did he lie and get away with it? Oh, because everyone at the Federal Bureau of Investigation was in on it, or at least the top officials were. At least the top officials were, especially people like James Baker. So, especially people like James Baker, who, if Sussman gets acquitted, it will be because James Baker was not duped, not deceived. It will be because James Baker was not deceived. And it'll be because the lie was not material. So how the lie can't be material, I don't know, because the agents did things differently. Sad part is I can watch every second. Nice, JG. I mean, the Johnny Depp trial, I mean, my God, Amber Heard does not look good. I've never seen somebody benefit more from a public trial than Johnny Depp. Like, I've never seen JG and everybody here. Amazing Colonel, I will. Or at least the decision. I've never seen JG a celebrity trial or a celebrity feud where one celebrity had benefited in such a great like so profoundly. Like Johnny Depp is even like, you know, he's vindicated in many ways. At least from the perception. I'm not talking about specific stories within the trial, but I've never seen like Amber Heard is has completely lost the will of the backing of the average person. In my view, I could be wrong, but I mean, you look here. Let's do this. Okay, let's do it. Let's do a poll here, JG. Everybody here, let's do a poll. Who do you trust, Depp or Heard? Depp, Heard. Thank you, JG. So who do you trust, Depp or Heard? So this will be interesting. 1-2. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Definitely, I'm not talking about role models. I don't think what either of them did was good. But you look at Johnny Depp, and he's pretty much vindicated. I think there's one person a great deal more toxic than the other in that relationship. I think we all know. Bob, hello. So Depp, 87%, 42 votes in. Wow, 88% now. Wow. There you go. CG, hello. So it'll be interesting. I mean, be here tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I will definitely, I'll have that live stream up right when we find out. And I will have that live stream up right when we find out. It's going to be very important to kind of discuss and address, it's going to be very important to kind of address the decision. To tomorrow's decision, what I want people to understand is that it's going to be like, if Durham gets a setback, it's actually like, I know that you're going to say, oh, here we go, blowing smoke up our, here he goes again, trying to just find, like the glass half full, and, there's a silver lining, and you know what? If Durham, John Durham probably doesn't understand how, like, he probably knows how corrupt the system has been the past 4 years, 5 years. He doesn't, if he gets an acquittal, think of it this way. If he gets a conviction, it's just like he's doing the right job. He's doing it, like he's doing everything he needs to do. Okay? Exactly, JG. He's doing everything he needs to do, Durham, okay? But we don't really know if he's on, like, we don't really know if his strategy, is working. Like, or I should say, we don't really know if he's doing everything he needs to do. And so we don't know if his strategy is on point. If he gets an acquittal, it's actually a good thing on many levels. And I know that you're going to say, oh, here we go. But here's why. Durham came into this thinking that he has enough evidence. But the issue is not just about evidence. The issue, because you can have overwhelming evidence and still Sussman could possibly get off. I think there's going to be a conviction. But again, I wouldn't be surprised. I think there's going to be a conviction because of the overwhelming evidence. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was an acquittal because of what Andrew McCarthy was saying, and and um, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an acquittal or a mistrial, and here's why. Okay, John Durham didn't understand that even overwhelming evidence can shield like the greatest liars in American political history. Think about that for a second. What does the strategy need to be now in terms of a legal strategy if overwhelming evidence does not think about that for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, this is important, all 388 viewers. Think about that for a second. What does the strategy need to be if overwhelming evidence is not enough to get a conviction? Okay, what does the legal strategy need to be? He obviously needs to start either indicting former Bureau officials or looking into evidence pertaining to partisan actors within the Bureau. He needs to find out the intent. He needs to focus on the intent or the desire to go after Trump within the Bureau. That's the issue. Look, he's going into this trial, and if it doesn't, I'm talking about if there's an acquittal, okay, or a hung jury. Durham was going into the trial trying to paint the Federal Bureau of Investigation as being duped, trying to paint Comey, an agency run by Comey and McCabe and Strzok and people like Page and Kleinsmith and others. The Durham Probe Special Counsel is trying to tell people that this government agency was actually deceived. And they didn't want to just investigate Trump based on animus and partisanship and, because they despised Donald Trump. Okay? He didn't want to paint a government agency as being biased. But he has to do that now. He has no choice. That's my point. If Sussman gets acquitted or there's a mistrial, okay, then Durham has to now change his strategy. He can't use the government in 2016. Thank you, Cap. He can't use the government as an unwilling participant that was unbiased. He can't do that anymore. I mean, he shouldn't have done it, honestly, in my view, he shouldn't have done it in the first place, to tell you the truth. And John Durham knows way more about law and infinitely more about politics than I do. He already put away in prison a government official. So, and he looks like a tough person. I don't think anyone wants to mess with John Durham. I don't know how old he is, but it doesn't look like he would, it's kind of like he looks like a tougher, more methodical version of Trump. But you can't go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. You can't go ahead and put people on trial like the Durham Probe Special Counsel and use the government. You can't use the United States government as you can't use the United States government as an unwilling participant. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't say, well, you know what, James Baker was duped and the government was duped, and I'm talking about if there's a if there's an acquittal. Now, if there's a conviction, it's like you don't need to criticize Durham at all, or like critique him, or there's no doubt, like, you know what, it's all good because he has the right strategy. But the interesting thing with the Durham special counsel is that I initially, when he was trying to say that James Baker was deceived, I'm thinking to myself, Durham is going to have a hard time proving that because Baker was under criminal investigation himself. And you have Democrats on a jury and in a court and in D.C. that they don't really care. Like, you could tell Democrats that Trump was set up and framed, and here's like an actual signed admission, like, of guilt from Comey or McCabe. They wouldn't care. They'd be like, oh, good, that's fine. It's good. He's mean. He insults people. He should be set up and framed. They don't care. They were so giddy and gleeful. They're gleeful when they, like, end the economy. Like, oh yes, it's too soon. Oh, you can't go out. You can't go out. Oh, they were so gleeful. And then the repercussions take place. Look, when the DNC emails, you have to understand the mentality on the left. When the DNC emails came out, I had Twitter. I don't have Twitter now. I don't have Facebook. You have to understand something. When the DNC emails came out, they were jumping and laughing. They were jumping for joy and laughing. The same Democrats who then blamed the Kremlin. I remember they were like, oh, look, at that point, I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. And the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I know that people get bored with that, but it's the truth. And so I remember when the DNC emails came out, they're like, oh, that's Bernie has nothing. You can't prove anything. Oh, so what if Debbie Wasserman Schultz left? You know what? Clinton's gonna defeat Trump in a landslide. So who cares? Then, see, after jumping for joy, then they realize, uh-oh, Trump defeated us. So, uh-oh. Then it's Kremlin. So the issue is Durham probe. Like, John Durham has to, what he should do is 18 U.S. Code 371. Simply start indicting people for conspiring against Trump. If you can't, utilize the government to prove someone lied when they lied. Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, Sussman can get off because the government was a greater liar at that point than he was? Government officials had lied more and in a more egregious manner than Sussman. And if you look at the trial, nobody believes Sussman. Like, was Baker truly deceived? Now here's where I think a conviction. Here's where I think a conviction was. Here's where I think a conviction is either likely, or why I think it's likely, or why I think it's possible. Okay? And here's why I would be happy, almost somewhat surprised, but not surprised. I don't know. There's like a million different emotions going on with this Durham probe special counsel, because you don't like, the Mueller probe was a malicious attempt at trying to investigate a fantasy, a conspiratorial theory. Like, Democrats complain that Republicans believe in conspiratorial theories. And it's like no, the issue is you had the government and media. Like, the entire U.S. government and all of media, accusing an incoming presidential candidate, an incoming Republican candidate, after an outgoing Democratic administration accused him of working with another country. That's the issue here. The issue is that you can't, in my view, Durham cannot, and if he doesn't get the conviction, he cannot simply wait to charge people for conspiring. And William Barr the other day, actually, it was the Blaze interview. He said that the Clinton campaign was actually guilty of a huge crime, okay, major crime pertaining to conspiring against the U.S. government. As water drips down all over myself. But, it's like, I think that you have to ask, like, he's going to then reevaluate Durham. If he doesn't get the conviction, he's going to reevaluate, exactly, seditious, exactly, Ross, exactly. So William Barr knew. I think that Durham simply has to charge people for conspiring against the U.S. government. When they went after Trump, they deceived half the electorate. And there was never a shred of evidence that Trump even benefited from another country. The notion that he benefited from the DNC emails or Facebook ads is absurd. The Facebook ads and Twitter bots were like nonsense. They can't even describe an ad. They made a big deal about Facebook ads. They couldn't even describe one. Go and don't get into a debate with a Democrat. But if you ever do, ask the person, can you describe a Facebook ad? They won't be able to. And you have a situation where you have a situation where people conspired and they hid behind government protocol. So here's an example, like, there are a number of, like, each action or each decision that Comey and McCabe and Strzok took, what they did was something that they could blame on plausible deniability or bureaucratic. Like, they could claim plausible deniability by falling back on bureaucratic protocol. But the problem is with Strzok, he has text messages saying, "We'll stop Trump." So he has text messages saying, "We'll stop Trump." You know, he has text messages saying, "We'll stop Trump." And so, it's pretty clear cut. You have, with Andrew McCabe, an insurance policy. You have, so like McCabe and Strzok, you have emails or you have meetings that could point to them conspiring against the United States government. When they went after Trump, they lied to the country, the entire country. They deceived half the electorate because half the electorate wanted to believe them. Like, it's interesting, too, you have Democrats who truly believe that a outgoing Democratic administration was completely unbiased, fair, and neutral. If the reverse were true, they would never accept any of this. They would never accept Rudy Giuliani purchasing a Steele dossier against them. They would never accept Federal Bureau of Investigation officials in an outgoing Republican administration going after an incoming Democrat. They would never accept any of that. They would claim bias. They would yell at the top of their lungs of bias and unfair. They love the Bureau, but not when Comey wrote the Comey letter. But then they loved the Bureau when it went after Trump. So, and the Comey letter was part of a cover-up. When Comey wrote that letter, he didn't do so because he's a wonderful Boy Scout and he's just so honest. He did so to kind of like tell the world, okay, I have the goods on the Clinton campaign. I know exactly Comey knows exactly how they transferred top secret and special access program intelligence onto servers. That's why there's never any negative press on James Comey, because he did more. It was James Comey. Had James Comey not written that letter, Clinton very well could have won. She might have won. She might have won. That letter was that was a week before November 6th. And everyone who wasn't into politics was like, "Oh my god, like, oh my goodness, like, what is going on? Like, this candidate is bad news." Like, now the Bureau is going after her servers again with top secret intel. All right, hold on one second. Okay. All right, here's a good one. From JG. Who wins in a Rumble, Durham or Chuck Norris? Who do you have, Chuck Norris or John Durham? Nice. So, yeah, I mean, so Chuck Norris for the win, I guess. Actually, it's close. 63-37. 63-37. So it's like, Dan, exactly. And God bless you, Dan. Thank you. Thank you for your service to this country on this Memorial Day. Dan, yeah, I mean, can you believe that? And that's the thing. That's the issue. It's like nobody really... We've accepted this as a country because we never had... About 20 years ago, you can look at you can look at CNN's coverage of 2000 when you had Bush and Gore. You can look at the coverage in 2000 when you had Bush and Gore, and they were basically, it was like who was going to be president, and it came down to Florida, and Bush eventually defeated Gore, but it was like CNN didn't care. CNN didn't care. You had 20 years ago, it was like completely different. It was completely different. Even 10 years ago, 10 years ago in 2012, you had articles about in 2012, you had articles on Paul Ryan and his workout plan. I mean, you had articles about Paul Ryan and his workout plan. It's like, that would never happen now. That would never in a million years happen. In a million years, that would never happen. You would never ever get that, like that kind of coverage. You would never get that kind of coverage now. Now everything is like, it's like this like cataclysmic battle of good versus evil. Like this cataclysmic battle where you have one side just like livid all the time, out of their minds in terms of indignation, all the time. They have every social media algorithm, every single social media algorithm possible. They have like TV shows, sitcoms, everything is just pumped into everything is just pumped into the airwaves as, oh my god, if Trump wins or Republicans win, it's like the end of the world. It's just the end of the world. And you didn't have that 20 years ago. You just didn't have that. Exactly. One side thinks they can break the rules, but the thing is, it's like the corruption is so intense. That's why I say, like, Durham has to change his strategy. He has to. If it's an acquittal tomorrow, it'll be, It could be viewed as embarrassing for a second. It could be viewed as a disappointment. It could be viewed as concerning. But if he changes his strategy and just starts indicting people under 18 U.S. Code 371, I mean, they were going after people like George Papadopoulos and Michael Flynn for no reason at all. For no reason at all. And they set up, there was hysteria in media, and they set up Michael Flynn, and they set up George Papadopoulos, and they tried to set up Carter. They did set up Carter Page, although they didn't like indict him, but they tried to ruin his life. They tried to ruin these people's lives. And it's unbelievable how the wonderful liberal Democrat, the really amazing liberal Democrat, Crazy Oliver, hello. It's like the liberal Democrat was so happy. They were just so happy. They were so enjoying Mueller time. Mueller time was an example of retribution for Clinton, for just retribution for Trump defeating Clinton. That's it. It was just retribution. That's all it was. And it's like unbelievable. It's like unbelievable how you have two tiers, two systems of justice. One, it's really interesting. One system of justice, you have, oh my God, Michael Flynn allegedly lied to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, so this means somehow that he's tied to the Kremlin. They made a leap of logic. They couldn't possibly explain themselves, but you know what? The leap of logic was Michael Flynn was tied, even though he had done nothing wrong. They had literally done nothing wrong. Exactly. LML, exactly. Flynn did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. But he apparently lied to Peter Strzok, who was basically kicked off of the Mueller probe special counsel. Strzok was kicked off of the Mueller probe special counsel. And it's like, he then interviews Michael Flynn while he's National Security Advisor. Andrew McCabe, I mean, you could go ahead and charge McCabe for going after Flynn. They had already known. I mean, they had already known that there was no evidence. There was no evidence at all that Trump was working alongside Kremlin operatives. There was no evidence from the United States government. Not one shred of evidence. They were utilizing a Steele dossier, and they were utilizing a high to moderate confidence assessment from the ODNI and DHS report that was obtained with the use of information from third-party sources. The Alexander Downer, or the third-party tech firm, is absolutely not the United States government. And so you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where like, you have Trump officials who were set up and framed, not by any evidence derived from a $30 billion intelligence apparatus, but by third-party tech firms. So the DNC, they say, is hacked. Why? Because their third-party tech firm said that the DNC was hacked. The third-party tech firm that they worked with, that they paid, says the DNC was hacked by the Kremlin to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated. That's the reason. We have no clue why another country would hack into a Democratic Party email to inform everyone that they were cheating their own candidate. But that was supposed to be national security, and Trump was supposed to be in some way behind that. There was no evidence. They made no attempt to actually verify any allegation. Every single allegation, ladies and gentlemen, was completely fabricated, and they gleefully, with malice and with this insidious enthusiasm, went after Trump based on the flimsiest, most absurd allegations from his direct political rivals. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. You have allegations funneled into the United States. Ain't no future, exactly. CG. You had allegations funneled into the United States government from political operatives. These political operatives pushed not only media, influenced media and influenced government agencies to investigate. And this is the greatest conspiratorial theory there is. And there was not a shred of evidence at all. Every single rebuttal, the Senate panel was confirming an assessment. The assessment from the ODNI and DHS reports was based, Dana, hello. Faith, hello. The assessment was based, to my super chat, thank you again. The assessment was based, Cajun Man. The assessment was based on, thank you, Cajun Man, thank you. The assessment was based on a high to moderate confidence assessment. So the conclusion of the intelligence agencies was not categorical. They didn't guarantee anything. And they didn't guarantee anything. People believe that the government was not biased. The United States government was literally like on the side of the Democratic Party. It was not unbiased. It was not neutral. It was about as neutral and unbiased as the DNC in 2016. And what Durham has to do is he has to start indicting people on those statutes, conspiring against the U.S. government and its people. You cannot have government officials like Comey and McCabe simply hide behind protocol. You can't do that. You can't hide behind protocol saying, well, we had to investigate Trump because we were, when Andrew McCabe or Strzok, they're interviewed, like, we were suspicious. Who cares about your suspicion? Your suspicion is worthless and meaningless. Everyone knows that a person of their power and influence within the United States government can be suspicious of anyone and investigate anyone and begin investigations of any political rival. That's one of the political benefits, or that's one of the powers of being a top government official within the bureau or within intel agencies. You could simply plant a story with the New York Times, which is what took place, literally what took place. And the Times could then, report it. And it's like you can have all of this, ladies and gentlemen, take place. And this is the first time this has ever happened in American history. When was the last time this took place? When was the last time this took place in American history? We don't know. It's never happened. You've never had incoming intelligence agencies go. That was the true, that was a peaceful transition. There should have been a peaceful transition of power. It never happened. There wasn't a peaceful transition of power. And Jason, you're right. The New York Times was in on it also. They just look, the way that journalism runs in America and the way that politics runs is the following. They'll investigate Matt Gaetz. They'll investigate Jim Jordan. They'll investigate Rudy Giuliani. They will investigate Trump. They won't find anything. But with the Mueller probe and investigations of Republicans close to Trump, they generate the media buzz. And then that serves to shield actual crimes, like, Pelosi's husband getting arrested. Actual crimes, ladies and gentlemen. It shields, Democrats just long enough to get away with their corruption. So we don't talk about Hunter 2 years ago, but we can talk about Hunter now. Because social media algorithms, suddenly allow us to actually have freedom of speech. Our freedom of speech is predicated upon the morally superior liberal sensibilities infused within social media algorithms. That's what our freedom of speech. That's what our freedom of speech now is about. It's like we couldn't talk about things 2 years ago, but we could talk about things now because it doesn't hurt Democrats in a presidential contest. So this cannot stand. Now we have Elon Musk, hopefully, taking control of Twitter and making it normal. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's just tomorrow is going to be very interesting. I think that you know what? There's a chance that could be the case. But if we have a Republican House and Senate, it would be very difficult for a cover-up to continue because you're going to have parallel investigations. You're going to have investigations within the House and the Senate, and they're not going to the Trump Republicans are going to investigate with greater enthusiasm than Democrats did with Trump. So payback is a you-know-what. So it's not like this is the thing. The pendulum always swings back to, it swings back and forth. You can't you can't just say that, well, it'll always be this way. You can't say it'll always be this way. So, tomorrow, whatever happens, watch this channel. And, understand that if there's an acquittal, Durham has to change his strategy. That's the thing. If there's an acquittal, Durham has to change his strategy. And that's not a bad thing. You simply cannot, ladies and gentlemen, fall for the media, the media scam. The media scam is, oh, look, we don't need Durham now. Nothing ever happened that's wrong. But see, then they'll always overplay their hand. Roger Rabbit, hello. They'll always overplay that hand. And MC Bree, that's right. CG. And people will ask questions. And they'll start asking, well, why didn't he get indicted? Oh, because the Bureau was in on it. That's the issue. We have 5 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Then we'll end this live stream. And we'll probably, we'll do another live stream at around 6 or 7 p.m. tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So be here. Also, check the stock market crash and the Bitcoin crash channels. But I will have a live stream again at 7 p.m. So be here for sure, about 6:30, 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. Pacific, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, yes. IH, yes, you will definitely get. I'll have the live stream up. That's a good idea. I'll have the live stream up for tomorrow by midnight tonight. So by midnight tonight, I will have a live stream up for tomorrow. I'll put it at 11:30 or 12 p.m. Pacific. So whatever, we'll probably get we will probably get a decision, a jury decision earlier than that. I'll have an upload and then a live stream. And so be here tomorrow for sure. 12 p.m. afternoon Pacific. Lou, hello. But you have a pretty interesting JG. She should be pointing this especially. Thank you, JG. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. To my super chat, thank you. I will see you tonight at around 7 p.m. or so, 7:30, so be here. I do have a segment on Paul Pelosi, very responsible person, before this one. So check out that segment. Go to the Bitcoin Crash channel and go to the Stock Market Crash channel also right now. JG, everybody here, Indy, Lou, everyone here, Eric, Luke, St. Martin, be here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And tomorrow's going to be interesting. Definitely be here tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tonight, everyone. About